This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Hi everyone, I know we're all hurting right now. Crypto has taken a beating, and Goldman Sachs says flatlining is the best case for stock-heavy portfolios. Flatlining? Zero returns? Sheesh. In situations like these, we can take a cue from the world's best investors, because a groundbreaking Ernst & Young study last year revealed that 8 in 10 ultra-high net worth individuals invest in alternatives. However, Bank of America's CIO recommends investing in one specific high-performing alternative to rescue your cash. He's talking about fine art. 2/3 of millionaires already hedge against inflation with art, according to UBS, because the last time inflation was this high, art appreciated by an unprecedented 33.2% annually. Now, obviously, most folks don't exactly have tens of millions lying around to start buying Banksys and Basquiat's, but that's where Masterworks comes in. They're helping people keep their cash intact by offering fractional investments in the top 1% of the art world. And with a recession on the horizon, they've seen sign-ups increase by 320%. That, combined with the fact that they speak to every investor to make sure art is right for them. That means there's a wait list, but I'm hooking you guys up with priority access to skip the line, and it's as easy as going to masterworks.com and using promo code CryptoConversation. That's masterworks.com, promo code CryptoConversation, and you can see important Regulation A disclosures at masterworks.com/CD. Again, that's masterworks.com and use the promo code CryptoConversation to skip the line. And now, folks, it is on with the show. My guest today is Tom Norwich. Tom is the co-founder of Loop Finance, empowering global Web3 communities. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Yeah, thanks so much. Great to be here.
Great to have you here, Tom. And look, you and I were just chatting before we started recording, but obviously I'm a Kiwi, and look, it's always fun to talk to not so much a fellow Kiwi, but just over the ditch, a good Aussie neighbour. How are you doing, Tom?
Yeah, fantastic. Very well. I am a good Aussie neighbour, but haven't been in Australia for a while, actually. I've been living in Mexico, and now I'm in Colombia, so I'm all over the place at the moment.
Fantastic. Well, that seems, I guess, appropriate, really, with the global nature of Web3, certainly with crypto. We'll do what we do at the beginning of the show, Tom. I'll invite you to please introduce yourself and really just share a little bit of your story. What have you been doing in the lead up to founding Loop Finance?
Yeah, 100%. So I've been in sort of software development and website and digital marketing for probably close to 20 years now, actually. But about 5 years ago, I think 2017, what's that, 6 years almost, I decided to build my first blockchain application, which was a tokenized content community. Actually decided to build that on EOS, which at the time seemed like a great idea. But as anyone who's been in the industry for a while knows, that the fate of EOS didn't go quite as hoped. There was a lot of flashy marketing around at the time produced by Block One, and there was supposed to be a lot of investment in EOS sort of growth and development, but that never really happened. Unfortunately. And then a few years, despite that, our community grew. We grew to probably 20 or 30,000 users, which was fantastic. But that was sort of back in the time before DeFi. It was very hard to, generate revenue or value for tokens at the time. And, I guess that was kind of the ICO boom of 2017. And, everyone was all sort of super excited about it. And then, it kind of turned into a long bear market because we all realized that, it was to make a token sustainable, you do actually have to have revenue and you do actually have to have some kind of a business model. It's not just enough to have a token out there. So that kind of got me into DeFi, and, obviously that was sort of the first promise of how to make, generate real revenue, I guess, through kind of a tokenized model. and we decided to build a DEX on Terra. Now, one bad blockchain after another, I guess. The DEX went really well for a little while. I think we had hit like 100 and something million in TVL at one point. Again, it was doing, had lots of users, but then unfortunately, well, we all know the fate of Terra. So
yeah,
that
this is fascinating though, Tom, because you're kind of describing, I guess not just the cyclical nature of crypto, but the emergence of kind of new protocols with compelling new narratives and almost like charismatic leaders. So I'm thinking of Brock Pierce and in the case of EOS, and of course what's his name, Duquan, with Terra, and Luna, and yeah, I mean, well, it's just it's a common story, isn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly. I must have a thing for charismatic psychopaths, I think, because I've been sucked in twice now, and also for flashy advertising. With Block One, it was also Dan and Brendan, and Brock Pierce as well. Like the three of them were all, putting out a lot of, kind of this is the future kind of thing. I mean, I think with Terra, it was a little bit the same. You're right. I mean, Doe definitely had a very kind of persuasive attitude, although not so much towards the end there. But anyway, there you go. Now we're on Juno, which is a Cosmos chain, as people might know, and we're very happy actually to be part of the sort of Cosmos community. We just went to Cosmoverse here in Medellin in Colombia, which is why I'm still here. And it's an amazing community, very collaborative, full of lots of great people, very sort of diverse community as well, which is great.
Yeah, nice. All right. Well, let's and that brings us nicely up to date, I suppose, to where we are now. Loop Finance. So, look, let's start at the beginning. What is Loop Finance? When did it come into being? Who else is involved? What's the origin story? Yeah. What is Loop?
Yeah, so I mean, as I said, we were originally a tokenized sort of content community on EOS, and then we moved into being a DEX on Terra. And now we've actually even realized that the DEX model is not actually great either. The DEX model, unfortunately, requires you to subsidize, liquidity providers quite heavily. So in order to encourage people to provide liquidity, which you obviously need for a DEX to operate, you need to usually have quite high farming incentives or liquidity mining incentives, as they're sometimes called. And that often means that you're actually sort of spending more in tokens than you're generating in revenue from the DEX transaction fees. So that's why often you'll sort of see DEXs, they'll get, their tokens will go crazy to start with, and then after a while, their tokens will just sort of slowly go downhill for a long time after that because they're over incentivizing and over emitting. So we still do have a DEX on Juno, and we also still have a community actually as well of content creators, which is great. But now we're really moving more towards the NFT model. We've just launched our NFT marketplace and our NFT launchpad. And the NFT model is a much sounder business proposition. I mean, you can actually make real revenue. You don't have to emit a lot of tokens in order to make it work. And so one of the reasons that I'm actually staying here in Colombia is because we've just signed a deal with a large entertainment industry sort of company here, and they are starting to introduce us to a lot of people in like the sports and entertainment industry who are really interested in getting into the NFT scene. So musicians, artists, sports people, that kind of thing. So we're really looking at how we can target not the crypto industry, because at the moment the crypto industry is in a bit of a slump, as most people probably know, and how we can actually sort of start to use this technology to help people in other industries and take it to the general public.
Yeah, nice. And it'd be useful, I think, also just to understand a little bit more about why you've decided to build on Cosmos and the Juno Network. So just explain a little bit about those platforms, protocols, ecosystems, how it all ties together.
Yeah, look, it was actually a bit of a happy coincidence, to be honest, because we're on Terra. A lot of people might not know, but Terra was actually built on the Cosmos SDK. Even though they kind of separated from Cosmos and did their own thing, they had their own wallets and everything else, they kind of became a bit independent. But the smart contracts are still the same. It's still CosmWasm, which is the Rust-based Cosmos smart contracts. So it was actually a very easy migration for us to move over from Terra onto Juno when Terra collapsed. So that was really the reason we got into Cosmos. Just it wasn't sort of a choice. I mean, moving to Terra was a choice, but then moving to Cosmos was just because it was an easy step. But actually, we've discovered that the Cosmos community, as I said, is amazing. The tech is incredible, and I think hopefully this time, I haven't fallen for a charismatic psychopath leader, because there really isn't one. It's a very decentralized network. There's just a lot of amazing developers, heads down, developing really cool stuff, and there isn't really anyone hyping it up or selling the dream or anything else. So yeah, we're very happy to be part of the Juno Network and to be on, part of the broader Cosmos ecosystem.
Yeah, nice. All right. So what's the goal then from this point going forward, now that you're established on Juno and you moving into NFTs as you've explained, Tom? So you mentioned an NFT marketplace and an NFT launchpad, and yeah, I know you building a Loop mobile wallet. You've got the Loop community. You want to do Loop events. Loop ventures. I mean, take it away. However, whatever direction you want here, Tom. But what is the Loop vision, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, the long-term goal is obviously to launch our own chain. So, Cosmos SDK is perfect for launching sort of sovereign chains, which is what, that's what we'll be doing eventually. But our real goal is to kind of tie all of those things together that you just mentioned there. And in fact, we kind of had our first, I guess you could call it MVP of this product vision. At Cosmoverse, we ran an after party at Cosmoverse, and we have our mobile wallet. Everyone had to download our mobile wallet, had to mint an NFT, and that was the ticket for that event. You could stake the NFT and you could earn a token, because we have stakeable NFTs. So you stake the NFT and you'd either earn a drink token or a bottle token. A few lucky people got a bottle token. You could then spend those tokens at the bar during the event. And then after the event, everyone who bought tickets kind of, is going to get airdrop something as well. So, this is kind of our vision for this whole product and how we tie together, NFTs and tokens and events, and sort of bring these into a real world use case. Yeah. And we're actually going to be running another big concert here in Medellin in about March next year with a bunch of local artists, and it will be using the same tech. So, again, people have to download our wallet, mint the ticket, get an NFT as a ticket. They scan that at the door, scan the QR code, and they'll be able to pay for drinks and things like that with tokens. So our real idea here is to create a product which can be used, for events or for payments or for ticketing and really for real world use cases. And then, like I said before, we're chatting to a bunch of big artists here. We actually had a meeting this morning with Sebastian Yatra's manager. He's like a big Latin pop star. We've got a meeting next week with J Balvin's manager. And, as I don't know if you know J Balvin, but he's one of the sort of top 10 artists on Spotify for the last few years. So we're sort of starting to try to take this tech to kind of the music industry and the events community now. So that's our plan for the next few years at least.
Yeah, that's interesting, Tom, because we're talking about earlier the kind of cyclical waves of crypto, if you like, and the emergence of new narratives or new platforms. So in this case, we talked about like EOS and then Terra Luna, but you could also say that NFTs were just such a huge new thing in the most recent bull market. Like NFTs were a market of their own, and the great thing about NFTs, in my opinion, Tom, is there's only so many people that are going to come into crypto to speculate on tokens or get inspired by an esoteric new blockchain and whatever blockchain advantages that blockchain project hopes to present to the market. It's fairly limited kind of segment of the population that get excited by that stuff. But once you can introduce NFTs and art or gaming tokens or proof of attendance or monetize music artists and their communities, it's a much wider segment of the population that can perhaps be onboarded into crypto through NFTs, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, those artists I was just mentioning a minute ago, I mean, one of them has 30 million followers, the other one has 50 million followers. I mean, these, the scales of the population who are actually into music compared to into sort of DeFi or tokens is just, completely out of this world. So yeah, 100%. In fact, this is sort of part of our go-to-market strategy. Our own goal is to actually offer sort of DeFi crypto services to these people. So in Latin America, obviously, there's a massive problem with inflation. People are trying to get out of their local currencies, but they don't really know how to do it. So our goal is eventually to be able to offer, people an on-ramp into crypto through our same wallet. So, okay, now you've bought your event ticket and, you've attended an event and whatever. Now, if you'd like, within the same wallet, you'll be able to, get out of your local currency into like a USD stablecoin, for example, and maybe even earn a bit of yield on that, which, is kind of a bit of a cherry on top. So this is kind of really just a really smooth way, I guess, of introducing people into the crypto ecosystem and doing it in a way which, they're familiar with and which makes sense to them, and also in a way which allows us to reach, the mass market in kind of a really understandable, easy to use kind of way.
Yeah, nice. And while that sounds exciting, of course, if we had this massive NFT bull market, let's say, last year and the year before, famously, the kind of trading on platforms such as OpenSea, the volume on OpenSea has really fallen off a cliff, particularly in the last few months. And look, no surprise, it's a crypto bear market, so of course, just activity across all metrics is down. How do you find, if that's the case, how are you finding the process of you talking to these big music artists? There's still interest out there, then, is there, Tom? And people can sort of see past the current flatness to the promise and potential of NFTs in the years ahead, then?
Yeah, 100%. And I think part of the reason for that is because we're offering kind of real utility for the NFTs. So obviously tickets, I mean, that's a very easy to understand utility. But even for the artist NFTs that we're talking about creating, we're going to create an exclusive community, kind of like, I think kind of like OnlyFans type community, but which is gated with NFTs. And that way those artists can offer, exclusive content or whatever to their NFT holders. So in that way, the NFTs themselves are actually backed up by real utility, and the real utility is the artists themselves. They're the ones who are providing the value to the NFT owners. So we're not just selling NFTs which are going to go crazy through speculation. In fact, the price of these NFTs might not even go up a big deal, or they'll go up as the artist themselves becomes more famous. So it's kind of a way for people to invest in, emerging artists as well and get their NFT early. And then if they become famous, obviously holding one of their early NFTs will be kind of, it'll become something of value. So yeah, we're really not looking at NFTs kind of as a speculative kind of instrument here. We're looking at them much more as a utility solution to help artists connect to their communities, to help them connect to their super fans, to offer tickets for events in the real world and also events in the metaverse. So we're working with various metaverse companies to kind of do that. So I think this is where kind of, it's kind of like tokens, like I said before, like in 2017, there was all this hype, and then, DeFi came along and produced real value and kind of like real revenue. And now NFTs have to go through the same thing. I mean, in the beginning, it was just all sort of hype and speculation, but now we're looking at finding ways that NFTs can actually provide sort of real value to the people who create them and the people who own them.
Yeah, nice, Tom. And on your website, you have this. I guess it's like a spoke diagram of the loop ecosystem, and you talk about how the diagram has empty spokes still because that represents loop's future. But apart from building out your own products, you see it as working in similar fashion as the Virgin model, which I thought was quite a fascinating comparison on, I suppose, a number of levels. But yeah, I mean, maybe you can speak to that. And as part of that, is the music industry kind of on music culture? Is that so? That's a primary focus for Loop.
Look, it's a primary focus for now, and the reason for that is because we're starting to make great contacts in the industry. It's a huge industry, especially here in Latin America. It's a huge market with everyone's into music. I mean, they're either into music or football or both. By football, I mean soccer. And so for now, it's kind of really a focus. But long term, I guess, yeah, we're looking at especially once we get to the point where we launch our own chain, we'll be looking at multiple different industries. So, obviously sports and entertainment's one, and then there's the hospitality industry, there's the gaming industry, there's the metaverse industry. So kind of tying all these pieces together and creating an ecosystem and, comparing it to sort of the Virgin model. Virgin doesn't actually run any businesses. They just license out their brand name to businesses, who then, and, they leverage off their marketing, they leverage off their sort of brand goodwill. And so eventually, we could potentially do the same thing. Once we've built up or established our brand, a strong enough brand, we could license it out to, say, a metaverse company or a gaming company to create, Loop Metaverse or Loop Gaming. And then we don't actually have to go and build it. We simply license out the brand name. We make sure that they adhere to certain quality assurance standards. And then in return, fees can go back to the token holders. So essentially licensing fees can go back to the token holders.
Yeah, very nice, Tom. So where are you at in terms of this journey at the moment then? So, or to frame that another way, I guess, where is Loop Finance at in terms of your product roadmap at the moment? NFT marketplace, NFT launchpad, the DEX aggregator, all this is live at the moment?
It's all live and built. Yeah, even our mobile wallet. I mean, our mobile wallet's still in beta, but it's I think it's actually available already on the Google Play Store, and we're just, Apple are slow to process things. So we're trying to get it out onto the App Store, on the Apple Store really soon. So pretty much all our tech is built, which is amazing. It's taken a few years of work and a lot of money to build everything. So now we're at the point where we're really starting to do business development and focus on sort of BD and marketing. And again, that's one of the reasons why I'm here in Colombia, just because the opportunities here are huge. There's a lot more need for products like this, and there's a lot more interest in products like this, and there's not really so much supply. There aren't that many people actually doing a lot of this kind of thing here in this region. So, we've just found that the opportunities for us here are a lot stronger than they are anywhere else.
And do you find that, some of the different chains, the different ecosystems have their own NFT communities? Obviously, Ethereum is kind of too big, too much going on to really say there's any kind of one style of NFTs on Ethereum. But, there used to be a kind of there's a different aesthetic to Solana NFTs, even like the Stacks NFTs on Bitcoin, different again. Have you noticed anything about different people building on Cosmos?
Look, I mean, Cosmos is unlike other chains. It's kind of like a community of chains, right? I don't know how many Cosmos chains. I think there's like 150 different Cosmos chains or something now. But so each one has its own sort of style. Each one has its own demographic. So I wouldn't really say there's kind of like one style of Cosmos NFTs. In fact, there aren't even that many NFT marketplaces. There's only 3 or 4 that I'm aware of. But definitely each one, like Secret Network has theirs, and of course their NFTs are kind of, often sort of secret or privacy kind of related. Then there's Stargaze, which, is a lot about DAOs and kind of communities. So they have their kind of thing going on. And then, we've got ours as well. So, but I think at the end of the day, we don't really want to target. I mean, our end goal is not to target necessarily the Cosmos community. Of course, we're serving the Cosmos community, and we love the Cosmos community, and we're happy to launch NFT collections for them, and we're currently doing that. But at the end of the day, we really want to go outside of the crypto industry and target these kind of more established, more sort of real world industries, I guess.
Yeah, makes sense, Tom. And, you mentioned a DAO, right? So I understand you're hoping to eventually get to the point where you can build a DAO?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, one thing Juno is amazing for is DAO. I don't know if you've checked out DAO, but it's a really great protocol. In fact, it's probably one of the most advanced DAO making protocols in crypto. So one of the things that they're about to launch is actually DAOs which are governed by NFTs. So this is super exciting for us because, we love NFTs. We have an NFT marketplace and launchpad, and then to be able to connect those to DAOs and have people govern DAOs through NFTs just seems like a really cool kind of evolution of both DAOs and NFTs.
Yeah, nice. All right. Well, what comes next then? So it sounds like you've been on a pretty incredible journey so far, starting out as like I think a content community Trybe on EOS, and then of course pivoting eventually to Terra, and then really having to move on again onto the Juno Network. So maybe just as you reflect back on that journey, what do you think lies ahead in the next few years, Tom?
Yeah, look, I mean, our sort of long-term goal is to really solve like real-world use cases. So, solve real-world problems. And especially, as I said before, here in Latin America, there are a lot of real-world problems. Currency devaluation is one of them. Lack of trust is another one. Lack of proper kind of record keeping is another one. All of these real-world problems that blockchain is just perfectly positioned to solve. Even payments down here is a massive problem. Like, doing bank transfers from one bank to another is a real problem. There's just a lot of kind of outdated, badly designed infrastructure. And there's a real opportunity there for a lot of that to be sort of, rebuilt from the ground up using blockchain, which blockchain technology is obviously perfect for. So I guess that's our real goal, is to sort of take blockchain to the mainstream, but also make it useful for solving, real problems that people in this region and in lots of regions in the world, Africa, Asia, parts of Asia, are all in a very similar position. So yeah, that's kind of our long-term goal.
Awesome. As we finish off this part of the podcast, then Tom, tell people, where should they go? What should they do if they want to get involved with what you guys are building over at Loop?
Yes, I mean, the best place is probably just our website, loop.markets. They can check out our Twitter. We've got quite a, sort of active Twitter channel, loop_finance, or you can join our Telegram channel as well. But I think our website's probably the best place, first stop.
Absolutely. And of course, links to the website will be in the show notes as well. All right, let's go do a very quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll have some fun. We'll run Tom through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. Back in 1 second.
Here's what's being said about Masterworks.
My name is Jacob N. I'm from Long Island, and I've invested over $73,000 with Masterworks. My portfolio performance just wasn't cutting it. I researched all these alternative investments, like crypto and NFTs, but they didn't make sense to me. Then I read about Masterworks in Forbes, and I signed up right away. And now you can too. Thanks, Masterworks.
Get VIP access at masterworks.io and use promo code JACOB. See important disclosures at masterworks.io/DC.
All right, we are back, and I'm with Tom Norwood. Tom is the co-founder of Loop Finance, doing all sorts of fun things with NFTs on the Juno Network. Tom, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid-fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
All right. Just going to put some questions to you, Tom. Just want, quick, rapid, hot take style answers. Question one for you, Tom. Where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Definitely more on the multi-chain opportunist. end of the scale.
That makes sense. All right, Tom, what would you say is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
That Ethereum is going to do pretty well in the future.
Oh, I like it. All right. Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. With that in mind, what does it all start to look like in 10 years' time? Blockchain, Web3, NFTs, Loop Finance, whatever you like.
I think they'll be where Web 2 is now, pretty much. So pretty much running the internet for the most part.
Hard to argue with that, Tom. Okay, well, sci-fi author William Gibson said that the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, Tom, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
I mean, crypto is a perfect example, right? I would say that, DeFi in particular, I think, in the future, most banks will probably be some form of DeFi protocol or another.
Yes, indeed. It's definitely shaping up that way. It's just a matter of time. All right, let's start to finish this off, Tom. Finally, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
I'd have to say June.
Oh, nice answer. Why do we like June?
I don't know. I read it when I was young, and it just inspired me. I mean, it's science fiction, but it's also just a sort of a coming of age story. Fantastic characters as well. A bit of sort of spirituality and philosophy thrown in there, and obviously, an amazing kind of world building exercise. So yeah, really has a bit of everything. I mean, up there with Lord of the Rings, of course, another one of my favorites, but I guess that's more fantasy than sci-fi.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, Lord of the Rings definitely leaning fantasy, but June. I must admit I haven't seen the new film version of June that came out last year. Probably, have you seen that?
I was disappointed, to be honest. Yeah,
really?
What I love about June is the characters. I mean, the characters in the original are just amazing, and then I really felt that the movie focused more on the action, war scenes, battle scenes, kind of, typical Hollywood sort of stuff, rather than, the original book is more of a sort of drama, like a human drama than an action movie. So yeah, I think they kind of screwed that up a little bit, to be honest.
Right. All right. Well, seems like a nice place to finish then, I guess, Tom. Nothing else to say really, except look, tell the people where they can go to find you on Twitter or wherever else you like to hang out online. And of course, again, what they should do if they want to get involved with what you guys are doing at Loop.
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on Twitter. It's just Tom Norwood with an underscore at the end, which is a bit weird, but it was the only one I could find. And as I said before, loop.markets if you want to check out our website.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Tom. All the best, and bye for now.
Thanks so much, Andy. It's great chatting to you.
All right, there you go. That was Tom from Loop. Very nice guy. I enjoyed talking to Tom. And that brings us really to the end of today's show. Please remember to subscribe to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using. But yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. See ya.